But yeah, we can talk about it. Yes.
Yeah.
The hard thing.
Or, you know, I think that could be an addition to the dish block. Yeah.
Set, ready, go. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to call the Moab City Council meeting to order on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. And Danny's going to lead us in the pledge this evening. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Danny. First on our agenda is public comments. We do have 3 public hearings tonight, so you're welcome to make a comment about the public hearings issues, but if you'd like to wait, that'd probably be more appropriate. So I think we have 2 people here that are going to make a comment. Do you have their? I know who you guys are. We'll start with you, Pete.
Well, it's their time to go.
Okay, good.
Good question.
Well, there's Pete to start.
There, okay.
I wanted to start out by saying I have a nonverbal comment to make as well. Just
Okay, yeah, just in case we forgot.
in case you forgot. So that kind of took away my first sentence. I can also say this, well, okay. The increasing noise levels in Moab degrade my quality of life. I can say the same about secondhand cigarette smoke. However, I can and do avoid places that allow smoking. I detour around smokers. I even hold my breath for a reasonable period anyway. How do I avoid the noise from a backfiring vehicle 450 feet away that woke me up this morning at 6 o'clock? How about when I'm hiking on one of the fins in Sandflats, marveling at the sun setting behind the Moab rim, alpenglow on the LaSalle's? How do I avoid the racket from a single illegally muffled car more than a mile away in downtown Moab that drafts the ambient sound level? I've been reading up on the harmful effects of unwanted noise. Excessive noise and vibration are serious hazards to public health, welfare, safety, and quality of life. Numerous studies conclude that noise pollution increases. Sorry. Oh, you're recording me? You have, did I sound? You want me to start again? No.
We were already recording.
Okay. No, I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Numerous studies conclude that noise pollution increases anxiety, mine especially, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Small increases in unwanted ambient sound can also have significant health effects. Noise aggravates existing health conditions by inducing higher levels of stress. A substantial body of science and technology exists by which excessive noise and vibration may be substantially abated. In other words, it's not, I mean, we had muffler technology a century ago. People have a right to and should be ensured an environment free from excessive noise and vibration that may jeopardize their health, welfare, or safety, or degrade their quality of life. You can readily confirm my claims relating to the effects of excessive noise. They're in the preamble of our city noise ordinance posted on our city's website. Also, what I found interesting too, even Utah code states, quote, no person may operate an off-highway vehicle in connection with damage to the environment, which includes excessive mechanical noise. Although sound level decibel meters are useful, we don't need to enforce our noise ordinance. The noise ordinance defines plainly audible and gives five examples where plainly audible is sufficient to issue a noise ordinance violation, which is a Class B misdemeanor. Of particular interest to me, which, I mean, I read through the noise ordinance. I don't know how I missed this one the first couple of days. No person shall operate a vehicle on a public roadway in such a manner that is plainly audible at a distance of 1,000 feet or more in any direction from the vehicle. Just on my walk over here, I witnessed a couple of vehicles. I'm pretty sure we're more than 1,000 feet away and easily hear them. Can we please get some noise enforcement? If I decide to leave Moab, which is a very significant possibility, if I were to list the reasons for doing so, noise would be number 1, 2, and 3 on that list. Ooh, just in time. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate your comments. Sarah.
That's a hard act to follow. I hope you're all well. I just wanted to say I agree with Pete and go a little further. I can't bear to live here and I could not bear to leave. This is my ancestral home and I want to stay here, but the noise is so ungodly. It's a violent intrusion into the beautiful natural sounds that we should all be able to enjoy. We've just gotten so used to it. We need to unwind and go the other way and let people enjoy the silky, beautiful silence. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sarah.
Sarah. Off to mine.
Anybody else?
My head.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on from public comments to department head updates, which we have none this evening. We have 4 items on our consent agenda, item number 4, 4.1 through 4.4. We have oh my goodness, let me make sure I have this handy. Used to, the proclamation that I am gonna read for Public Works. I got it right here. Next week, I believe, is Public Works Week, so please bear with me while I read this proclamation. National Public Work Proclamation is people, purpose, and presence. And as we all know, our Public Works Department has all of those things. They have a purpose, they have a people, they are people that we employ, that we really respect, and also have a presence out in the community. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facility, and services that are vital, important to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of people of Moab City. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in Moab City to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in the respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now resolved that I, Joette Langanese, Mayor, do hereby designate the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities and ceremonies to designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. In witness whereof, I hereon to set my hand and cause a seal of state to be affixed, done on Moab, Utah, this day, the 13th of May, 2025. So thank you to all our public works employees. They do a great job. There is a barbecue next Wednesday, the 21st, at 11:30. So you guys, please feel free to go out and celebrate with our Public Works Department. It's at Old City Park, I believe.
We'll be there.
If Old City Park is still there. I hear there was a fire out there today.
Yes, but it's okay now.
Do we get new picnic tables? That's all.
No.
Anyway, thank you to our Public Works Department. You guys,
Colin and I we have to go for our title again. The worst cornhole.
oh, that's right. Good. So we've got a
Yeah.
championship game going on. Anyway, Public Works Department, thank you. So we've got a couple other items on our consent agenda tonight. Ratification of a letter of support for funding to replace 300 South Bridge. This is a letter I talked to you all about that we sent to Senator Curtis to include some funding in the appropriations bill for 26 to replace the 300 South Bridge. That application has gone in. The letter of support was included. So tonight you guys are just ratifying, and thank you for allowing me to send that before you had a chance to approve it. Approval of the minutes from April 22nd, 2025, and the approval of the bills against the city of Moab in the amount of $1,465,195.12. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Jason, second by Caitlin. Discussion? Anybody? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right. So as you guys know, the way that I like to do public hearings is I'll open the public hearing, we'll have a presentation, close the public hearing, and then you'll consider the action afterwards. So we have 3 public hearings this evening. The first one is for ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance adopting the pay plan schedules for the city of Moab for fiscal year 25-26. And Michael is going to go ahead and present all of these items, and then Danny, of course, is here if you have any questions. So I'm going to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025 at 6:11.
Great. So I'm happy to have. Sorry, I'm just-
Tonight.
I got this tonight. Better not move my chair. Okay, so you have 2 pay plans in your packet. I'll go over the first one. I'm not going to go over them in detail, but you have the charts in there. Every year, the state requires us to pass a resolution, or for you to pass a resolution showing what the pay is for all employees, including executive and elected officials.
That's the ordinance.
Oh, ordinance, sorry. So the pay plan, just a couple of things have changed with the pay plan. One, it's just a change in the system, the way that it works. We were on a range system where we had a low, mid, and high point, and that's what you would have seen in former ordinances. We changed that to a step system this year. We think we know this is more sustainable in the long term. It kind of flattens things out a little bit more and slows the growth of salaries a little bit without a great deal, not a great deal, but changes the step system so that the low and high are split between 12 steps, which makes it so that there's about 3.75% between steps for all of the steps. If you look at the ordinance, you'll be able to see that each position within the city is assigned a job classification or a number, and that number is associated with the pay plan. And you can look up each employee and what the steps are for each one of those employees, or for each one of those positions, I should say. So we also included a recommended COLA of 3.5%. As I've talked to you and answered your questions, I think I've explained, but I'll explain for the meeting that we believe a 2.5 to 3% COLA is justified for our region. 2.5 is what Social Security is doing, and CPI for the Denver area and this region is close to 3%. We all know that the cost of living in Moab continues to go up. It's not slowing down. And there were years in the past, before my time and probably before some of your times, that the city council wasn't able to give the full COLA when CPI said that inflation was up around 8%. And so what I'm recommending is that we do a COLA of 3.5%, a 3% for COLA for the cost of living increase, and a 0.5% to do a makeup. So 3% based on current cost of living and a 0.5% for a makeup. So that's our recommendation. And we would need to know if you approve that. If you approve the pay plan the way that it is, it will be a 3.5%. If you want to change that, then you would have to include that in your motion. There's nothing as far as the rest of the pay plan. I think it basically the same pay plan as before. We just split it into the 12 steps.
Questions for Michael?
So, Michael, do we, can we, with all of these different positions, do they all, and then this new structure, new framework, do they all fall into the step 1 in their grades?
No.
No, okay.
No, so each position was already making a wage based on the number of years they've been here, their performance over time, and their experience when they got here, lots of different factors. So most employees, unless you're brand new, would be somewhere, most likely what I've seen in the scatter, if you look at a scatter chart, they're mostly right in the center is where we're seeing. We definitely have some employees who've been here a while, but I think there's very few, if any, that are actually to the top step. In fact, I don't think we have any of the top step. No.
Okay.
We don't have any at the top step.
So what would cause someone to jump from grade 9 to grade 10? Would they jump from grade 9 to 10 in the same position?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same. If you're looking across in the row, that's the same position all the way across. So if they're meeting their standards for performance and their supervisor recommends a merit increase, they would move from whatever step they're in now to the next step at the beginning of the year. We do our reviews in December, and then employees are given their merit increases in January. Now, this is how it's always been. This is not new with this program. There's always been a review, there's always been a review in December and then merit in January. And previously, the total possible increase was higher than 3.75%.
No, I guess, what would cause someone to go from like a grade up, not a step?
Oh,
up,
a
like
grade
step,
up would change positions.
change position.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't understand.
Okay.
I
Okay, so there's
apologize.
a ceiling.
Yeah, so sorry, steps are across, grades are columns. So yeah, I apologize. To go to a grade, it would be a change in position. So there's potential that you could have a police officer who goes from police officer 1 to a police officer 2, and that would be changing grades. Or you've got a city planner who goes from associate planner to a assistant planner, and that would be a change in grade as well.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying. I apologize for
No, it's
missing that.
Any other questions for Michael? Danny, would you mind coming up? I just want to get your feedback because you've been working with this system for a long time, and this is something we've talked about in the past, changing to step and grade. And so I'm glad that we're doing this. And I want to hear from you what you think about the change from the previous format to this new format for salaries.
Sure. I think this new format is definitely more transparent, more regulated, where before, based on what your score was on your evaluation, kind of correlated with what percentage of a raise you then received. This is just a standard 3.75 across the board, which I think, like Michael said, does keep our costs more consistent and more predictable than what the other one did. And I do think it keeps it more sustainable. So I think it's a good change.
Great. Thanks.
And then this like kind of, if you will, kind of flatten the bell curve, through these things, which I think, yeah, I appreciate trying to flatten the curve.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
So do you get a merit percentage-based increase in addition to increasing your step, or is that kind of one and the same?
It's the same, one and the
Okay.
same. So if you increase one step, that would be a 3.75% increase.
Okay.
So basically each like merit-based increase is that fixed 3.75. There's no like 1% or 2% or.
No, so there was this is the way I'm proposing it, is that it's 3.75. If you meet the standards and you're not on a performance improvement plan, then you get the full increase. It's 3.75. Formerly, it was higher than that, and there was a range that you could get based on points. But if you look at the history, everybody got pretty much the highest points. So everybody was getting the highest percentage for there were a few who were on performance plans who didn't get the total, and they wouldn't in this either. But most of the people were getting the highest rate. So anyways, we're going to do some training on reviews and really talking about tracking and really working with our employees to make sure that everybody's meeting performance, and when they're not, working on their performance with them.
Is this the first year where I think I can't remember what year it was, where kind of the whole nation and stuff was seeing this huge mass flux of COLA, where it was like what you said, like the 8.5%. And it kind of at the time we're like, we can't match this, and stuff. And, but and I can't remember, in the previous years, have we tried to match that? Like, did we go 0.5% higher last year on COLA to try to make up for that? Or is this the first year where we've tried to kind of get back on track? So
Well, this is my first year.
Yeah. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't
Part of it.
remember. I was an employee here last year, but I don't recall. Danny says, no, we did not do the
Okay, that's what
a catch up in previous years.
Okay.
In fact, we've done a decrease, I think, in
We have.
previous years.
I think it was 2021 that,
Saw the big spike.
I think it was 2021.
So I could you repeat kind of like what your proposal was? Like COLA was at 3.5 and then a 3.75 increase in wages.
Yes, they're two separate things. So,
Yeah.
following the step plan, if an employee meets standards and is recommended for an increase, a step increase, they would be eligible to get a 3.75% merit increase. And that happens in January. COLAs happen in July. So every year in July, if there's a COLA, it happens in July. I'm proposing a 3.5. I can say with confidence that our cost of living in Moab is at least 3% increase over year. I'm recommending the 0.5 as
To make up.
as a makeup, so that, I mean, eventually there will be a push to make up what wasn't done in years past. We can cover this 0.5 in this year if you want to. I can, when we get into the revenues and I show you the expenses and everything, I can show you all of that. Our total budget is actually going down. If you look at all of our operating expenses, it's going down. I think this is a good year to do a 0.5% increase, but that's my recommendation. And whatever the council adopts is what we'll put on the ordinance and what will be.
Any other questions? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:23 PM and ask for a motion to consider the adoption of ordinance 2025-05 and ordinance adopting the pay plan schedules for the city of Moab for fiscal year 2025-26. Motion.
I can make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-05 and ordinance adopting the city of Moab pay plan schedules for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Motion by Colin, second.
A second.
Second by Tani. Discussion, Colin.
Just that I hope that these, and I'm really excited to see these merit-based incentives, that I hope they truly are a program that incentivizes great work and that, you know, it's not something that is just sort of passed out willy-nilly, and that, you know, we really use it to recognize the people who are really standing out and doing the great work, with which there's so many. Yeah.
Tani?
I just want to say thank you for this was a lot of work, and it was a lot of reevaluating where we were and how we could make that better. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into this.
Anybody else? I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? I think I have to do a roll call vote. So we'll start with you, Caitlin.
Aye.
Colin.
Aye.
Tani.
Aye.
Luke.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All of these considerations tonight will be roll call because they are expending funds. All right. I closed the public hearing at 6:23. We're opening the next public hearing at 6:25. This is a public hearing for ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance adopting salary schedules for the city of Moab elected and executive officials for fiscal year 25-26. Michael.
I won't do the presentation again. Everything I stated before is the same for this ordinance. The COLA, the steps, the grades, everything is, stands as I said previously. And all the information is in the ordinance, so you can look up every single, classification and look at what their, range is from top to bottom and each step.
Questions for Michael?
Because I did have a question, because in this one, it is listed as a range.
Okay, Danny, I may need your help on this one.
It is listed as a range. That range is step 1 to step 12. So instead of breaking it out into all the different steps, we just did the beginning and ending step in that. But those steps are listed in the whole pay plan on the other charts. So each step is listed out in there if you wanted to go look at those.
Okay, thank you.
And this is a pretty standard reporting for executive and elected officials. Most ordinances look exactly like
Correct.
this
Yes.
with the top and bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, anybody from the public? All right, seeing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 6:27 and ask for a motion to consider the adoption of ordinance 25-6, an ordinance adopting salary schedules for the Moab City elected and executive officials for fiscal year 25-26. Motion?
Can move to approve ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance adopting the city of Moab salary schedules for elected and executive officials for fiscal year 2025-26.
Second.
A second.
Second by Caitlin. Discussion, Tawny.
No.
Caitlin.
Nope.
Anybody else? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Oh,
Roll
sorry,
call.
roll call. I just said that I had to do that and I forgot. Caitlin,
Aye.
Colin,
No.
Tawny.
Aye.
Luke.
Aye.
Jason.
No.
All right, so I did a roll call. We have the motion passed 3-2 with Colin and Jason voting no. All right, now we've got the big part of the agenda, and that's our budget. So this is going to take a little bit of time. We've worked we've all worked really hard on this. And so I really appreciate you taking the time. Very much appreciate Danny and Michael and all the staff's work on this budget. I will say that what I'm really impressed with is how much Michael has dived into this budget. And shared with us all of the things that he found and all the things that he's going to change and all the things that he's going to do to help meet the requests and the concerns that we had as we went through the budget this year. So Michael, thank you for that. I feel pretty confident after all the meetings we have. And so Michael, I'm just going to open the public hearing at 6:29 and turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate being able to meet with you individually and answer your questions that you had, and looking forward to the discussion tonight and being able to go over the budget with you in total. So state law requires that we approve a tentative budget. Again, not we, sorry, I keep saying we or us. It's the council approves a tentative budget by the first meeting in May. That's a tentative budget. And we need to send that up to the state and they record that somewhere. And in that law, it also says that we need to set a meeting, another public hearing for the final approval, which is in the information that you have, which is going to be June 10th, unless the council chooses a different date. So that's why we're here talking about this today and why we'll be talking about it again in June. So the goal in going through this entire budget, first of all, I'll just say that the first goal for me was to understand the budget, to go through the budget and understand as much as I could about the budget, what made up the budget previously, what were the goals in previous years. And I was able to learn a lot. In previous years, some of the goals were to get staffing up. In some years, we had very low staffing. And years after that, the goal was to increase staffing. The goal for this coming year is to keep the staffing that we have. We do have a pretty full staff. We do have some positions open, but our police department is pretty full. And but most of all, in this tentative budget, what we're looking for is to present a lean budget that slows the growth of expenditures or slows or reduces the expenditure growth, and a flat overall revenue budget, because we're being very conservative here, and also being balanced. That's a requirement. We have to be balanced. And some of our funds, like sewer and water, we have more revenue coming in than we have expenses going out. So their reserve fund is growing, which is necessary because they have lots of projects that they need to do and things like that. But when you look at the general fund, which is the biggest budget, you'll see that the expenses and the revenues line up exactly. They are balanced. So overall, the general fund budget is up 1.28%, and that includes salaries and benefits, just to be clear. So, and that's a year over year from budget 2025 budget to 2026 proposed budget. The increase is 1.282%. And we'll go over these in more detail in just a few minutes, but the citywide operating budget, which again includes salaries and benefits, but does not include capital, any kind of capital, and that is actually down 5.7% overall. The operating budget for the city, which includes the general fund, sewer, water, and all other divisions and departments, recreation, the operating budget, which includes salaries, benefits, pencils and pens and papers and fuel and all those types of things, and the heat bill and the electric bill and all that kind of stuff, is down overall 5.738%. The capital improvement plan is also down 38%. Now, I'll show you the capital improvement plan totals in just a few minutes, but the reason why it's down so much is because the capital improvement plan fluctuates. In some years, you have lots of projects, big projects. Last year, we had $17 million of projects, and that was the downtown dispersed parking and Cane Creek. And a lot of that money came in from grants. Some of it came in through loans, and some of it was from the general fund. But this year, what we're proposing is still a really good year for capital improvements. But we are definitely down 38.5% from the previous year. So overall, we did make some amendments to the way that we're doing budget going forward. The big thing is that we're trying to keep the current service levels, or maybe even improve the current service levels without increasing the budget. We're trying to keep revenues flat, like I stated, and we're trying to reduce or slow expenditures as much as possible. And overall, expenditures are reduced. In the general fund, they're slightly up, which general fund is the biggest budget out of the entire city. But overall, when you consider all of the funds, the entire expenditures are down 5.7%. So going forward, we did make a couple of changes that I've talked to you about, but just to get them out there so that everyone knows about them. The rack tax fund used to go into the general fund, and then it was banked in the reserve fund of the general fund. Our general fund has a healthy reserve, and the RAP tax was just kind of lost in there. It was hard to pull out how much RAP tax there actually was. So we created its own fund, and we will be moving the what's left, the net income or the net revenue after the playground expense will be moved over to the RAP tax fund, and that's about $1 million that will be moved over to the RAP tax fund. That can pay for projects and can also pay for the grants that the council has authorized if you do that in the coming years and going forward. So the vehicle fund is a new fund which consolidates the capital purchases for vehicles, so the actual purchases for vehicles, and in some cases, like with the police, the upfits for the vehicles, because those are capital expenses that are going into the vehicles for cages and those types of things. And those are all being moved to the vehicle fund. Now, generally, the capital fund pays for these things, but in some years when the capital fund was struggling, the general fund would pay for them. So they were kind of all over the place. The vehicle fund is not necessarily an increase in expenditures. It's just a consolidation of expenditures, getting them all to one place. And I'd be happy to talk more about that if you have any questions. The general fund, parks maintenance, parks has its own fund. Parks maintenance was moved out of that because we put it with public works and we moved them into the general fund. But as we were talking about it in the last week or so, we were thinking, well, why does parks have its own fund anyways? Generally, they are part of the general fund. So we are looking at potentially moving parks and recreation, everything back into the general fund. Most of the funding for recreation and parks, all the funding for parks, most of the funding for recreation comes from the general fund anyways. They do have fees for services, but it's small in comparison to what the contribution from the general fund is. And then in administration, we cut several positions to fund other positions throughout the city. So we may not have reduced FTE count, but in some areas you'll see, like in admin, there's fewer employees because we cut a few positions in admin and we're able to fund other positions like strategic initiatives and project management, things like that. So this is a chart showing tax revenues. Now, these are only tax revenues. On the next screen, I'm going to show you all revenues for operations. So in this, I wanted to highlight a couple of things. One, we have one new revenue source, and that's property tax. All of property tax is being transferred to the capital improvement plan. So it comes into the general fund because that's just how it's logged from the county. It comes into the general fund, and then we transfer it right over, whatever the total is, we transfer it right over to the capital improvement plan. Overall, the tax revenue increase, I think, is pretty modest. We're estimating about a little less than 1% increase. We have seen, if you look at sales tax over the last few years, sales tax has grown very, very modestly. I think the average is somewhere around 2 to 3%. We're projecting less than that for our percentage increase going forward. But based on the numbers that we're receiving back monthly, and they're several months behind. So the last month that we have reported is March. We are seeing good numbers for sales tax and feeling confident enough that we can propose this. I think it's a 0.89% increase in taxes. So this is this slide here shows all. Oh, sorry, I guess I didn't. Thought I had some animations in there, but this one shows all revenues for all operations. So this is, again, not capital, and you're not going to see vehicles in here as well. So all operating income, as you can see, the amount that we're recommending in the budget is 32 million, and you'll see in a few minutes the expense for operations is less than that. The general fund revenue is a balanced account, so revenues equal the same as expenditures, but sewer, water, storm, roads, they are all bringing in more money than they're expending. Again, they're putting that in their reserves so that they can afford to do projects going forward. So that's where the extra revenue is. So next we have the operating budget. So this is including salaries and benefits for all city employees across the board. So general fund, which includes police and parks and admin and public works. And we have sewer, water, storm drain, and even transit and housing has expenses as well. Even though there's no employees in there, there is still expenses in that fund. So these are all the expenses, as I said, and as you can see, the total amount from the 2025 budgeted amount to the 2026 recommended budget has reduced 5.738%, which is a total of about $1.8 million. So that's a total reduction. So what you're seeing is that We did have a slight increase in the general fund. There is an increase in, because we're talking about COLAs and we're talking about merit and things like that. So we see an increase there, but we've also seen not drastic, but a good enough decrease in operations expenses that evens out at 1.2% for the general fund. And then when you take into account all of the operations expenses reductions throughout the rest of the budget, we end up with that $1.8 million savings. Again, that is a savings year over year. We also have a revenue that's higher. Again, the revenue expense, the areas where we're going to see reserve funds grow: water, sewer, storm, and roads.
Do you want to explain a little bit about why it changed from 23 to 25 and 26?
Yeah. So as far as the expenses go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 23, I wasn't here in 23, but if what I've been told is what the deal was in 23 was we were trying to build up our employee base, and we were hiring people after COVID. 22 was a bad year. 2023, the budget was amended to add more positions to get more people. There was expenses for police cars, lots of different things like that actually did show up in here. And you can also see that there were projects in sewer that were going forward. There were a lot of things that were happening in 2023. 24, they continued to grow. And then over time, we were able to get all of those positions filled. And remember, we're looking at actuals here. So in 2023, we actually budgeted around $19 million total in general fund, but only spent around 17 because we weren't able to fill all those positions. So in 2024, we were able to get those positions filled. And in 2025, we were able to get the rest of them, and then to keep going forward. So that's where we are now. So where we are now is we've gotten all the positions filled. We're at a place where we've kind of reached equilibrium, we hope. We're not adding any more positions except for one that's a grant funded position for fire fuels reduction. And what we're trying to do now is to stabilize the growth of expenses and keep that number stable.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, 2023 and 24 are actuals. The budgeted amounts were more than what you're seeing there. So in capital, we have just a few things here. We met about this previously on April 22nd, so I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but I did want to show you how capital fluctuates from 23 to 26. You can see a big difference in each one of those years, and that's based on the ability to get revenue in 2025, and the money was gotten in 24, and then actually came in 25, and a lot of that was grants, some of that was loans for Cane Creek. The budget that I presented to you has been changed just a little bit for CIP. We have removed the MRAC solar project. We're using RAP tax for the pool water feature and the baseball ball field project, or the softball ball field project. We're looking at a design project out there for $150,000. And that hasn't gone out to bid yet. If it's less, we'll pay less. And then the major focus, again, coming up this year, we've talked about this previously, is the MRAC, sidewalks, and streets. So active transportation fits within those, and not necessarily in that order, but those are the big focuses for the upcoming year. And I already explained why CIP was lower. So I'll just move on unless there's any questions. So to salary and benefits, our total FTE count is 133.25. That's full-time equivalents. So we actually have around 199 employees. So we could cut 200 plus paychecks in one pay period if we had every one of those working in one consistent pay period. But a lot of those people are part-time. They work at the pool, they're seasonal, they work at other places, but we have 133 FTEs. Salaries and benefits went up 5.4% year over year. If you compare the salaries line from 25 to 26, salaries and benefits from 25 to 26. Again, operations went down though, so the total increase was only 1 point, whatever it was, 2%. The reason why salaries and benefits went up is because of merit. If people qualify, they can receive that merit of 3.75%. The COLA we just talked about. There is one new position embedded in here, and that position, with salaries and benefits is all in there. And that's the one that's funded by the CWDG grant, which is the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. And we have that for 5 years, and that's about $150,000 a year. And this is the last year of salary survey amendments. This was a program that was instituted years ago. This is the last round. Last people are getting caught up according to the salary survey. And we won't do another salary survey for 5 years after this, if the council decides to do one in 5 years. So, but we won't be bringing it up as a policy. We won't bring it up again for 5 years, unless there's some drastic something happens. But most likely, it's not going to be coming up for 5 years. And again, these are the you can see the growth in salaries over the years. You can see us going from not having a lot of staff, trying to get up to where we need to be, getting close, and then dropping a little bit. And then we're at a point now where, as we go forward next year, it will be flat, as you see that go across as we continue this graph out in the next few years. Flattish. So that's the overall budget presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. This is the city manager's proposed tentative budget. I do recommend this budget. I think it's a lean and responsible budget. I think it does what we plan to do, which is to slow the growth of expenses and keep revenues as flat as possible. We are only adding one new position, and that's a grant-funded position. And I feel like what we've done here, I think, is again really responsible and lean, and I recommend you approve it, and also set the final adoption public hearing for June 10th.
Questions for Michael? Now, keep in mind, we're just doing the tentative budget. We won't be doing the final budget until June 10th, provided that's the date you guys agree to. And so changes can be made between now and then. Hopefully nothing too major, but we do have that opportunity between now and June 10th to make some changes. So questions for Michael?
No, I was just going to say, I think that I want to say I really appreciate you spending as much time as you did with all of us, as we talked about this budget, and and me specifically, because like I was kind of slow on some of this, so we're trying to figure it out. And I really appreciate, going through it almost line item by line item. And I think that I agree with you that this is a good budget. And I agree that, maybe there might be some slight changes, before we get to that final budget. But overall, I think this is a very sound budget, and yeah, I appreciate how much time you put into it.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something to that. I think this is also just a very cautious budget. I mean, I think that, something that we've been talking about, some numbers that we've been talking about, we were hearing a lot from the county about being 12% down, and, we know there's a 2-month lag, but everything that we're seeing in the city points to, a fairly good sales tax year, with January being 13% up, February being 10% up, and then all our anecdotal information from, a lot of our events being very well received and attended this year. And so, I think that the numbers that you chose were just very, very, very cautious and cautiously optimistic. And I really appreciate that. And I'll second with Jason that, I've really appreciated this process. This is just my second budgeting process, and I've spent hours with you in the last couple of weeks, and it's just been you've taken this to a new level of really trying to refine this process and really trying to refine the budget to make it function. This is our most important piece of policy that we pass all year. And so the care that you've taken with this and, I think it's really steering the ship in absolutely the right direction. So thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome.
Who else?
I mean, I'll echo what Colin and Jason said, and then add on just their appreciation towards making this more digestible to the public, and just like increasing transparency overall. I think that's a really important thing is the community members entrust us to like make wise financial decisions with their funds, and the tourists that visit us as well. But I know it's been hard in the past to kind of trace back certain things, and particularly like with the RAP tax fund, where it's something that should be directly benefiting our community members, to be able to just like pull that out and make everything in that a lot easier to trace, I think is really important. So I appreciate that.
Anything? Connie or Caitlin?
No, I just will echo what everybody else has said, that this does seem a lot more easily digestible and a lot easier to understand than some budgets have been. And I know that you guys, all of you that worked on it, put a lot of time and effort and consideration into it. So I do appreciate that.
I'll add one more thing.
You had
At least one thing.
I don't need to say anything. You go.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned that needs to be mentioned is that there's also within this budget is money for an audit. So we are actually we are gonna test this and see how it works out. And so I mean, to me, this is just the constant striving, with your leading of the ship to do better and to keep refining this process and keep the city being financially solvent as we move forward. And so, it really does feel like we're working in the direction of financial sustainability.
Yeah.
Thanks for make that sustainability is the word of the day
Yeah.
when it comes to this budget. And I think Michael's done a good job in that.
Absolutely.
So can I say something really quick?
No, I wanted to hear from Caitlin first. I know do you have any comments that you would like to make?
Not that have already been said.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that. We're just trying to do the best job that we can and be responsible and it's not, obviously it was not just me, and I want to thank Danny and Summer and Marcy as well. We worked on this as a team, and I certainly could not have gotten through this without Danny and the mayor, because I try not to do like an acceptance speech type thing here, but there was a lot of help that went into this, and we're just trying to do a good job. So
You are. You're your trophy.
Yeah. Right. Well, I can tell you that Michael, for the last 2 months, this is all that's been working on, because really in the past, we've always had a finance director that's done all that work. And in order to look at how to save some money, Michael said, I want to have the hands on the budget and not have somebody else do it for me, so that I know exactly what we're dealing with. And that was really good. And he shared that all with us. And I'm not sure that's been the case in the past.
Yeah.
And so I really personally appreciate being so involved in it and look forward. I think the other thing to be said about this is we're all pretty hypersensitive after passing a property tax. And we want to make sure that our constituents realize that when we said property tax is not going to pay for operations, that we meant it. And so I think Michael's taken that to heart. I think staff's taken that to heart. And as long as we're sitting up here, we will make sure that always is the case. So with that, I'm going to open it up for public comment. I'll just pause just in case anybody wants to change their mind. Okay. Well, seeing that there are no public comments, I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:55 p.m. And then I will ask for a motion to consider the adoption of Resolution 04-2025 a resolution adopting the city of Moab's tentative budget for fiscal year 2025-26. And also included in that motion, please add that you will also be setting the public hearing for the final budget for June 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative budget for fiscal year 25-26 with a final budget approval on June 10th,
Public hearing.
public hearing on June 10th, 2025.
Right. Motion by Jason, second by Luke. Discussion, Jason.
No.
Luke? Anybody else? All right, roll call. Caitlin.
Aye.
Colin.
Aye.
Tawny.
Aye.
Luke.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Good job, Michael. Thank you. And Danny. All right, that's the end of our general business, and we will move right into the city manager update.
Oh, forgot about it. Well, I do have a few things to update you on. There was a fire at Old City Park today. It actually was in their the grass pile there. And with all the wind and the heat and everything that's being generated by grass that's just sitting there, it caught on fire. And fire department responded, put it out, and we need to find a better alternative to our grass. I think composting is something that we're working on. I know Alexi is working on that, and apparently things are really good for composting right now. We just needed to have a little bit more diversity in our compost pile, I think. So, and you know, like the mayor said, we've been hard at work at this thing. So I don't have a lot of updates for you today, but the playground I think is going really well. I know that there's a grand opening coming for that. And have we set a date for that yet?
I think that it's the 31st of May, which is the Saturday. It's the Saturday after the Arts Festival. So we're gonna have refreshment. Lisa's all coordinating that. More to come on that. There'll be things going out. So
Great.
mark your calendar if you're around. That's gonna be fun.
There was some vandalism down there. We were very happy to see that the responsible parties came to the police department on their own, and we're working with them. We're going to get the things fixed that are broken, and I hope they're learning a good lesson. But really encouraged that they came in on their own and told us what was going on, told the police department what was going on. And we have an event coming up this weekend, another big event. So we're hoping for a lot of people in town and out eating and drinking and spending money on the town. So
Is this
So
the C10?
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
vandalism was at the playground?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry if I didn't say that clear. It's at the new playground at Swanee Park, and it's getting a lot of use.
Yeah,
And
it is.
it has, but the other part of that is it has a lot of eyes on it, So people are noticing things immediately. And there's a lot of chatter going on, and so things become evident to the whole community really fast if something happens down there. So
Yeah, those vandals. They got outed. So
Is the event this weekend, the C10, the new event that
Yeah.
we approved last year? Oh, great. Okay.
yeah, 350 trucks.
Okay.
It's gonna be a lot of vehicles at Swanee Park. I have a feeling we're gonna hear about it, but it should be fun. Go check it out.
Michael, I'm also wondering if you can tell the community about the city's plans for the pride flag.
okay, so the state of Utah has passed a law that says that government buildings can't fly any other flags except for the state and the flag of the United States of America. And so at one of our buildings, at least one of our buildings, we were flying a pride flag and proudly doing so. And I don't think anybody in the community had an issue with it, to be honest. And so we talked about this internally. The mayor was heavily involved in this, and so we said, well, what are we going to do? We looked to the example that Salt Lake City gave in finding alternatives to show pride, because really the law only dictates like literally what's on the flagpole. So Salt Lake City had some interesting responses to it where they had lit up a building showing the pride flag. We thought, well, what can we do? Something that's permanent, that where we can show that all are welcome in our buildings. And one of our artists who works for us actually came up with a stained glass, I guess, motif or whatever you would call it, that is beautiful. And if I can actually bring it up and show it to you in just a minute here, but it shows the pride flag represented artistically and says at the bottom, all are welcome. Right now, it's a temporary sticker that, like it's a cling sticker that goes on the window. But eventually, not eventually, this year, we're going to see if we can afford an artist to actually make that in stained glass, and then that would be permanent. And I'll bring that up so that you guys can see that. So if there's anything else you want to talk
Yeah, do you have any other reports?
about? I don't, unless it's about the budget.
So Caitlin, let's start with you.
Sure. On May 1st, I attended a Moab Area Housing Task Force meeting. Continuing to talk about city and county housing subcommittee things. The housing task force is moving towards expanding a pilot dashboard that's on moabhousing.com, trying to create more accessibility for housing data to the community. On the 2nd, I attended Arts and Ag, which was poppin', especially with the new playground. Oh wow, that's beautiful.
That's gorgeous. Wow.
Really awesome.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but it is a good size as well. I think the height
By
on it,
3, isn't it 5 by 3? 5 feet by 3 feet.
yeah, it's a good size, and you can see it on the mark if you drive by right now or walk by or go into the mark. So
Leave it up.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry for the interruption, but
No, it's good. But yeah, Arts and Ag. I'm really excited. I love all of the events that the city helps facilitate through the summer months, starting with Arts and Ag. So it's really fun. Great to see the playground being well used. On the 3rd, I attended Queer Prom for Moab Pride, which was a fundraiser for Pride. Just a really fun event at the Grand Center. Happy to, be talking about this in relation, especially as Pride Month starts in a couple weeks. On the 6th, I attended a meeting with the mayor and Michael and Jason talking about the budget and other stuff. Over the weekend, not official city business, but also wanted to give a shout out to the film commission. I saw the new Thunderbolts movie, which was filmed in Moab and Green River in part. It's a Marvel movie. Film commission is also doing a casting call for another major film. I love that film as a part of the Moab economy, and so I always get really excited. Today I attended a first working meeting for EMS, talking about financial sustainability, trying to figure out how EMS is going to stabilize their funding moving forward. So that'll be first of many meetings related to that. And then just before this meeting, we had our first city housing subcommittee meeting with housing task force in the city, talking about kind of city staff, planning commission elected general goals for the city, talking about the housing plan, kind of some of the goals that the county's working on, how we can collaborate and come together with a list of recommendations for what the city wants to do. So yeah, and then the last thing I also noticed and love the sidewalk paint, the matte locations that have been painted on all the sidewalks. I think that that's a great visibility thing.
So we've actually,
Yeah.
we heard that we've seen an uptick in the fixed route ridership.
Oh, really?
what we hear.
Yeah.
One of the artists of the sidewalk painting is here, Sydney.
I love them. Great job, Sydney.
Wow, that's great to know. That's great.
That's it.
Thanks, Caitlin. Jason, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
So I attended an airport board meeting. there's a lot of construction going on at the airport with moving some taxiways and entrances to the airport, and then they're working on some other projects that we should be starting soon. And then they are still working on hiring an airport manager or a director. And I think they're getting pretty close on that. From what I've heard, I think they did interviews last week. And from what I heard, they went pretty well. Today, I attended a travel council meeting, which was good. The travel council, the county did approve a pretty large influx in marketing, for this upcoming year. And they had to do kind of with the audit and getting them in compliance with the audit. And so there will be, I think, a pretty big upspend in marketing for our area. So hopefully we'll see the benefits of that, coming as we go forward. And they hired a new marketing agency. It's called the new agency is Madden. And looks like they do a lot of cities and towns, and they're based out of Tucson. And they seem like they had some pretty great ideas. I had some meetings with the mayor and Michael, along with many of you guys, and which I appreciated and learned a lot about budgets and everything line item. And then I think that's it.
Thank you. Colin?
On the 6th, Tawny had a meeting with the mayor and Michael.
We invited you.
Ooh, so my meeting was the 7th. So I got to meet with the mayor and Michael and a little bit with Jason and talk about the budget and among many other things. And then on the 8th, I met with Michael and Alexi and a couple folks from GCAT, Grand County Active Trails and Transportation, to talk about and strategize how some of the city's priorities will be worked into this new non-motorized travel management plan. And so that was a very productive meeting. And then on the 12th, I had a 3-hour meeting with budget stuff, Michael, and then I also went over the bills this time, and then today we had a trail mix meeting, and a couple of concerns came up at the trail mix meeting. So one is the lack of painting and bike infrastructure on 100 North, which it sounds like there was a lot of agreement is a very important thoroughfare for bikes getting across Main Street. And so with some of the new dispersed parking, that the share of the road signs have not been repainted. And so we had somebody share with us that they were almost hit trying to get out into a lane. And then also just the bike lanes in general on 100 North are in poor condition. And then also we had a comment about the street sweeping of Mill Creek Drive with all those beautiful new painted bike lanes. It sounds like just the automobile lanes are being swept, and so all the debris is sitting in the bike lanes and presenting some challenges. So, and then I just want to address the Public Works barbecue that's coming up, and I understand that after my performance last year in cornhole, there's probably going to be a pretty high demand for my partnership. And so I just want to say that what I'll probably be opening up a some sort of a lottery system where you'll be able to buy.
Carried us right into last place.
Yeah, and I know accusations of poor eyesight or some other things being thrown around. So this is an important year for me to sort of redeem myself. So I just want to say between now and the Public Works barbecue, I will be spending a lot of time just practicing cornhole. But then you want to talk to me afterwards for an article?
Yeah.
More of a classified.
Okay, that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Luke.
Yeah, I also attended Arts and Ag, just a great turnout there, and I got to witness firsthand just how ridiculously busy the playground is. It was really fantastic to see. Yeah, I mean, there was 60 kids playing while I was there, and yeah, just so many smiles. I really appreciate the overall design of it, just like how shaded it is. Really great witnessing that. And then I also attended budget meetings with the mayor and Michael, and then attended the housing subcommittee task force just before this meeting, which I'm really excited about. Like, it was a really productive discussion that offered a lot of really great ideas from a lot of different perspectives, and I'm very excited to be a part of it moving forward to see kind of like what we might be able to bring to fruition. But I'm only in town for a couple more days, but I used to be very good at bags or cornhole. So if you want some tips, I can help you
Yeah,
out.
we'll talk after the meeting. And I think, Luke, you're gonna be spending a lot of time at that playground over the next few years, so.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Is that it, Luke?
Yep.
Thanks, Tawny.
I don't think I can, comment any further on cornhole. I've always had the good sense not to play. I attended the Seek Haven What Were You Wearing event and, chatted with the ladies from Seek Haven. And it's just amazing to me, the good work that they still continue to do. And, it's incredibly sad that they're still having to do that. So, but I just wanted to shout out to them. I met with museum staff to discuss budgeting and moving forward because I missed our meeting because I was being an apprentice plumber at my house. It's amazing how much water can come from your washer hose. I didn't have meetings with the mayor and Michael. And I was going to ask, will the Pride art be produced in clean form so it can be other places besides the mark?
Yeah, they could order another cling form like that anytime. And yeah, it could go anywhere, even smaller sizes. And that was Christina Whiteman who designed that, by the way, and did an excellent job with that. One of our employees.
Produce stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should.
It's pretty.
I think that's a really good idea.
Pretty nice.
We could even do pins. We could even do backpacks.
And the original could be the stained glass at
Yeah.
at the one and only mark. And you can
That's,
come see.
yeah, that's awesome.
That was great.
Yep. Anything else, Tawny?
Nope.
All right, I spoke at the Recycling Coalition Conference that was held a couple weeks ago out at the Spring Hill Suites. And I basically gave the group, I didn't really know what to talk about. So I talked about sustainability, and I thought that, was a great thing. These are people from all over Utah that are really into recycling. And so I know how much Sarah Melenkloff is involved in that. She was also there to speak. So that was interesting. I also spoke at the Grand Center just to give the folks down there an update on the city and the MAPS project that Tawny and I are working on with the Healthcare Special Service District. I had an interview with Beacon to promote their American After School program. I attended the Moab Humane Society brunch. That was great. I got to talk about my cat that I got from the Humane Society. Lots of good work. It's a great partnership that we have with them, with our animal shelter. Attended the Utah Raptors special presentation on the exhibits out there. There will be the ribbon cutting. I think I forwarded you guys that invitation on the 23rd of May. If you're interested, I heard from Tawny and Caitlin. If anybody else is interested, let us know. We can all carpool out there from here. It's at 1:00, I believe, on the 23rd. I met with the new executive director of the Utah Department of Environmental Quality, and their regional director. That was really good to meet him. I thought it was pretty impressive that he came out of his way to come to Moab and to meet with us. We talked about the UMTRA project and any support that they could provide. The state's gonna have to sign off on everything that happens for closure. So maintaining that relationship with the DEQ is really good. And they're very supportive of getting that project completed. We also talked about other things that they would be involved in. One is the outfall from the wastewater treatment plant to the river. And if we do move forward with the Arches water connection, they will probably be involved in that as well. So it was good to get to know the new executive director. He just got appointed by our governor and should be confirmed by the Senate, if not already been confirmed. And as I mentioned, I was working with the Healthcare Special Service District that Tawny and I serve on and helped with that grant application to CIB for a planning grant to complete that campus out where the hospital and the care center is. And lastly, I have some letters. As you guys all recall, every year I get letters from the students at HMK. This was the sixth grade class from Miss Camp's class. And it was clearly they had to do some research. They couldn't just write a letter. I mean, some of them have footnotes and things like that. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So just
Peer reviewed too, by the way.
yeah, I mean, it's really, they really done. In fact, Doug, you're mentioned in this letter. So this person said that living in Moab is like a dream come true. Until all of the gorgeous natural lands are being turned into tall, ugly buildings. In the past several years, the BLM has sold public lands to private owners who sell them from construction companies. And so they do not like our lands turning into hotels and resorts. So the city of Moab should stop developing public lands and rural lands.
Okay.
All right. So done.
Yeah.
I got another letter that said Moab needs a better skate park so that they can learn new tricks and have more fun and do jump stuff. Yeah. So anyway, they made some suggestions of things to do. Like you need to have, you know, there's not much stuff to do since there's only a spine and it's too big for kids to hit their roller, not the phone. And there's a pyramid in the middle, half the bowl. And anyway.
Is that one signed Jason Taylor?
Yes. I also got another letter of that we need a stoplight at 4th East and Mill Creek intersection. They've seen a lot of near crashes at this intersection, and so we need a stoplight there. We need more stores. This person is a shopaholic, and and shopping is very fun a lot of the time. But she's not able to go every weekend, and the closest supermarket is in Price. It's 2 hours away. I guess they forgot about City Market. So basically, they want more stores. We need more stores. So any entrepreneur out there that wants to open up a store, this person would really appreciate that. Moab should not build any more hotels. Moab should install sidewalks in Spanish Valley. I'll forward this one over to the county. We need better flood protection. So that's something we all know, and hopefully that person has been paying attention because we are doing lots of flood mitigation. We need more affordable housing because people that are moving here can't afford to live here. So that was good. This one I really want to read it, but I don't want to offend any of our staff, but basically they say Moab needs to remodel the Center Street gym. We love the gym. We would love a new gym, but we hate ours. Even the parents hate it. It's really dirty and gross. And some may think that remodeling the Center Street gym will cost too much money. But if Moab can have 66 hotels, then why can't we have a new gym?
66. Fair enough.
And then this person, you know, is not happy about having to go to Grand Junction and would really like a Walmart that's closer and has lower prices. So we should need a Walmart apparently, which would take away from all the other shops that we want to build here. But you know, everybody has their opinion, and I'm sure driving to Grand Junction to Walmart is not that much fun. And so that's it from the kids. And I always will respond back. I mean, this year I was thinking I should go to that class and just talk to them all, because these letters were unbelievably well written. They had like I said, they had footnotes and quotes from the newspaper and things like that. So I'm going to reach out to Ms. Camps and see, maybe I'll go and talk to the class. It would be kind of fun. And that's all that I have.
Can I bring up two really quick
No, your
things?
time is
I know.
over. No, we do have a closed session. I will let him talk, to talk about the sale of real property. So go ahead and then
These are
I'll
good
ask for a motion to go into closed session for a few minutes.
So after waiting and observing and driving on that rough road, Cane Creek is paved. And we'll be striping in the next couple of weeks. They did a pretty good job. There are some things that our staff are working on with the contractor, but doing really well and glad to see it paved. The other,
So, before you move on from that, when I talk to people about the paved road at Cane Creek, it's like a reminder, if you want a reminder of what it used to be like, drive down 100 East behind City Market. So that's what because people will forget, but I remember you saying all the time, that's our new Jeep Safari route. So now they have to go to 100 East. They want that.
for now.
Yeah.
For now. And then we'll have to find another one after that. But
There will be one.
on striping, with UDOT doing all the work on Main Street, we were able to sneak in and get the bus parking signed on Main Street. So it's on the street and it's we do have signs there. It's limited to just 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So people can park there after 8 p.m. and then it's seasonal as well. So it's not going to be exclusive during off season. So and that's done.
Something that was brought up today was, instead of having bus parking, if it, because I know we're getting signed, maybe have bus unloading and loading instead.
Oh,
so they
gotcha.
don't Park there for. instead of-
Yeah, I think what they say now is bus parking only 30-minute limit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay. The businesses downtown were very excited about that today. I had like 3 of them that are in that area were like, this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah.
Super excited about it.
Good. Is that it?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
fine.
Okay, good.
Anything else? Are you sure?
No.
All right.
No, I'm not sure. But
I know.
let's,
So, okay, we need to go in closed session very quick. Need to give some direction to Michael. So if I could have a motion to go into closed session to discuss the sale of real property.
I move to go into closed session to discuss the sale of real
All right,
property.
motion by Tawny, second by Colin.
Second that.
Any discussion?